Okay, team. So let's get you guys going. Thank you for those of you that are joining us live. And also thank you to those of you that are going to join us at a later date and watch this online, either on the Facebook Master Community page or via the link that I'll be sending out through email. So those of you that are joining us online today as well, you guys can go back to this webinar at any point and review any of the information that we're going to be giving you today. So it's a big welcome from me to our first ViPR webinar of 2019. By the looks and sounds of things, you guys have had a great start to the year, particularly in some territories. It's great to see everyone up and active. So well done for starting the year strong. Today's presentation, we're going to be looking at, once we've welcomed you all in, we're going to be looking up an update from ViPR HQ. We've got some information for you guys about how we're doing, what we're up to this first quarter and throughout the year. Once we've done that, we're going to take a look at a guest presentation. We have another great guest speaker delivering some education to all of us. I think it's really important that we get something as master trainers out of this webinar, so hopefully you guys really enjoyed that. Once we've done that, I'm going to be taking you through a little bit of Q&A applied and explaining to you how that's going to go down, because we're starting to get some great conversations and questions going between you and the rest of the community as far as the master trainers. So we'll take you through that, and then we'll wrap up at the end with a couple of little tasks for you guys to get involved in to make sure that we are sharing you to the rest of the world and that you are also sharing with us. So without further ado, team, let's take a little look at our updates for you. So as many of you are aware, it is our 10th anniversary year this year, and we will be celebrating that in the summer. So with this celebration, there will be a big increase in social media. We're currently coming up with a strategy at HQ. But having said that, we would like you to also help us build that social media strategy and build a load of content that we can put out there to make sure that we really do celebrate the fact that we are still as strong as we ever have been, maybe stronger at the moment, in the world of functional training 10 years after the inception of ViPR. So with that, we're going to be dishing out a bunch of Master Trainer t-shirts, which will be celebrating the 10-year anniversary on the t-shirts. Obviously, you guys, if you're going to get a t-shirt, we would love to see you in those shirts. We would love to see your presence. So please, when you get them, share some videos, share some stories with us, share some photos. That would be great. So team, quite a big, as part of the 10-year focus, we've really looked at how we've been getting on in the industry, where we're going to be moving forwards over the next number of years. And at the moment, we feel that relatively speaking, we've fully penetrated the fitness market. Many clubs, particularly in some territories, have absolutely maximized their number of ViPR sales or the number of educations that they can deliver as far as fitness itself. So what we're going to be doing and what we're going to be helping you to do moving forwards is there is going to be a focus more on sports and the rehab market as well. This has actually recently kicked off. We've been in contact with Anders in Sweden, who is the head of Zendon, which is a company that is a Scandic rehab company that has a reach across Europe. So these guys with Zendon are going to be looking at specifically building and delivering education and practice with ViPR for rehabilitation, sports therapy, remedial therapies as well. So guys, check out and keep an eye on this space because it is going to be exciting, and that we hope that it still has a positive impact on you guys, the master trainers. I think any company and any brand and any product needs to continue to evolve and develop. And this will be the way that we evolve and develop moving forwards. Obviously, you know, and this moves into our next point, we have moved all of our LMT 1 and 2 online. As you guys are already aware, that is up and running, and it is creating a good bit of traction, particularly here in the UK. It's also really important to note for anyone that wants to distribute and deliver this online education to your territories, that it is now endorsed by ACE, it is endorsed by NASM, it is endorsed by REPS and SimSPA as well. So that's great to have those guys endorsements on board with us, and I think that will help when trying to deliver this to our communities across the globe. Also, excitingly, we've had a great time filming the ViPR Kids and the ViPR Active Aging online education as well, and that is due for release sometime this quarter. We're finalizing a few bits, and we are really excited to introduce this to the online platforms that we have as well. Again, guys, if you'd like to get your hands on this, please get in touch, and we will also be discussing with some of you how you can utilize this online education to help grow your business. With that having said, with the Kids and Active Aging, we are also going to be going live in Japan with ViPR Kids and ViPR Active Aging at the end of April. I'm so excited to be able to go out there, and it's a huge privilege to be able to go out as part of ViPR Global and deliver the ViPR Kids and ViPR Active training out there. Japan has been on my bucket list for a long time to go and visit. I've heard nothing but great things. So guys, you guys out in Japan, I'm so excited to meet you in 6 or 7 weeks now. I'm in preparation at the moment, and I'm really excited to deliver an amazing 2 educations to you guys. So team, like I say, everything's going online, but we still have the live options. And Kids and Active Aging, we have an opportunity to still deliver that to anyone that wants to take that on live. And we are looking to deliver it this summer in London at FitPro HQ. Now, if you are interested in coming along to this, we'd like to hear from you and like you to declare your interest incoming this summer. Dates are still to be arranged and will be arranged around what suits most people best. So please, if you are interested in taking on the live workshops for ViPR Kids on ViPR Active Aging as a master trainer, then please get in touch and declare your interest. So guys, there was a brief update. If anyone would like to discuss any of these points with me, then as always, please get in touch by phone, by email, or by Facebook or any social media, and we can explore some of these points further. Now guys, that's enough from me. I'd now like to move into our guest presentation for today, and this is going to take up most of the rest of our time together. It's a fantastic presentation from Steve Powell, who I've called Coach Yoda. I've called him that not because he's old, but because he is full of knowledge. And he's not just full of knowledge, that he's so aware and so great at being able to apply that knowledge and tell you how to do things really simply. And he gets the most out of everyone that is in front of him. So guys, I'm proud to announce that Steve will be presenting this guest presentation to you today. As a bit of background, Steve is currently the Director of Education at PowerPlate. He's also a master trainer at Exos. He is an educator for the Gray Institute and the founder of Evolution 101. And more importantly, he is one of our founder and former master trainers for ViPR, as well as PTAG as well, PTA Global. So he has a wealth of knowledge and experience, and today he's going to be sharing with us a PowerPlate training strategies incorporating loaded movement training. So guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hi everyone, this is Steve Powell, Director of Education for PowerPlate and Educator for the Gray Institute. Firstly, a shout out, thank you to Aaron and the guys at FitPro just for inviting me, giving the opportunity to speak to you and be part of the webinar series. And the context and the topic today is going to be performance integration. I'm really using a couple of my favorite tools, PowerPlate, Vibration, and obviously ViPR, and really sort of looking at how you can successfully integrate those modalities for performance enhancement. And of course, whatever performance enhancement means to you and the clients that you're working with. So whether we're talking about creating variable loads, movement-specific patterns, different forces of variability, essentially this is going to be about how do you utilize different tools in the context of performance and integration. So what I've done is, just to make it easy and also to keep me on track, I've just listed out really the 4 areas that we're going to look at in relation to how you would integrate vibration with in different components of performance. So we're going to look at pre-activation, we're going to look at general strength, movement strength, 2 aspects of complex training, and what we mean by that essentially is complexing or changing the environment. One with a more strength-orientated focus and one with a more power-orientated focus. And it's this complexing of environments that leads us on to, well, why would you use vibration? So firstly, probably helps to start with just the basic premise of it's a vibrating platform. We talk about PowerPlate, but it's synonymous with whole body vibration. And it's the vibration component that we want to start with. So if we think about the fact that obviously the machine and the platform moves in 3 different directions, predominantly it's vertical, and that's really, really important because as this becomes very authentic to some of the ViPR principles as well, into gravity, ground reaction force, really what the vibration is doing, or the vertical aspect, is enhancing, replicating ground reaction forces. One of the unique features that you have with PowerPlate also, though, is that it does give you a sagittal plane and a frontal plane oscillation as well. So we therefore had a different type of proprioceptive challenge to the body in relation to the centre of gravity being challenged. So that's kind of, I guess, an introduction to the mechanics of the vibration. But that's really important because certain positions and certainly the application within performance is enabling the body to be in an environment that's very authentic, but also changes force coming in. And then when we add movement and different loading for components, for example, obviously with ViPR, then we get a very different, very novel and to a degree stimulus for the body, which can be very advantageous for all different types of client. So some of the key benefits in relation to vibration and performance integration is very much around muscle fiber activation or muscle activation. What we mean by that really is neuromuscular activation. So directing a stimulus to the nervous system that creates an adaptation or a reaction in the muscular system as well. So the neuromuscular adaptation or neuromuscular activation is a key benefit of why you're using vibration in this context. So if we maybe take a look at just a brief introduction to the different areas, I thought what would be useful, rather than me spending a lot of time or too much time on the actual exercise techniques, you guys will be familiar with the movements, you'll be familiar with the exercises. I was hoping to give a little bit of context around why you are using, or I guess the rationale for the 4 different components. So what I will do as well is I'll add the settings and things like that, hopefully to the video, just so that you have an idea of obviously certain vibration settings, because we have frequency and we have amplitude. Frequency is the number of vibrations per second. Amplitude is the depth of the vibration, predominantly vertical. So what we will see in performance is a change in amplitude. So typically when we look at utilising vibration for mobility, for flexibility, maybe in the preparation phase, we typically would stay on a low amplitude. But because in performance, we may be looking at how do we prepare the body for more ground reaction force, how do we prepare the body for a low to unload movement, let's say for example an ice skater, then actually there may be the rationale to say, well, if we can increase the amplitude with the vibration, therefore we're increasing ground reaction force, therefore it augments that better adaptation and response when we come back on the ground. So that's what we'll talk about, and I'll add those settings on the video as well. So the first of the 4 different training components essentially is going to be pre-activation. So what we mean here is you're going to be using vibration for no more than 10 seconds, a very short duration movement or position that is then allow us to go directly onto the ground and perform whatever movement it is that we're going to do. I'm going to give you an example of a traditional deadlift and then a more dynamic exercise that you guys will be familiar with the ice skater. So essentially this will be 10 seconds in a position that relates to the exercise you're going to do on the ground, and we're really looking to fire up the nervous system, greater muscle or motor unit recruitment in a position that then we have carryover onto the ground. And that's what we mean by pre-activation or sort of potentiation. Then I'll share some examples for general strength. We could call that movement strength. And of course, as you guys all know, the topic of strength is a very vast and different interpretations of different components and strength qualities. So the example again is going to be, we'll use ViPR, but essentially a traditional front squat. So here, what you're actually doing in this is just adding mass, additional load to the body. So therefore you have, you're enhancing ground reaction forces through the vibration. The movement of the platform is creating that challenge for the center of gravity over the base of support. But by adding additional mass, therefore it becomes a greater demand placed on the body, therefore greater tension, different lines of tension. And one of the key things that we always talk about with vibration is that tension in the body is a magnet for vibration. So if we're taking let's say a front carry hold into a front squat, then we're putting more forces into the body, into the connective tissue. Therefore, the vibration will respond, the body will respond in relation to the vibration forces coming up from the ground in a very variable, very dynamic way. One of the other key things to remember as well is that it also allows us to enhance motor learning. It will allow us to, from a client standpoint, to maybe coach a movement pattern if that's needed. And of course, if that's the case, then the choice of load is based on the individual, their training goals, and obviously their capacity. The second exercise that I'll share with you, one of my favourite ViPR exercises, is sort of again on the platform. And one of the things with the platform is you are limited sort of by footprint. So we are looking predominantly at more closed chain positions or even fixed positions. But in this case, I'll show you how you can sort of tweak an anterior lunge, initial range anterior lunge, with a shift pattern, again, to maximize the key benefits of the vibration. So in relation to strength, we're talking about muscle fiber recruitment and also fast twitch muscle fiber recruitment, which again creates that very different demand to the body. Whether we're moving quickly or not, we are getting this very fast activation and stimulus as a result of the speed at which the vibration is stimulating the body, and those speeds are very much around a neurological response. So based on the fact that if we think about this being the knee joint, for example, the knee joint's being moved rapidly. So essentially the bones are being moved, the joints are feeling the movement, and the muscles that cross those joints are reacting very quickly and responsibly to the stimulus. And that really is what we mean by neuromuscular, or we could even use the word sort of proprioception, is that proprioceptors are activated by movement, and the vibration is essentially movement, and muscles are activated by proprioceptors. So it's a hierarchy of how the body is stimulated, and as we know, muscles then control motion. So whether we're talking about deceleration, acceleration, and that's kind of a hierarchy that has huge relevance when we're talking about introducing this vibration stimulus into the body. The final two components are what we call complex training. And to simplify that, it's essentially where we're looking at similar movement patterns, but changing the environment. So, for example, we would look at a push-up using, obviously, on the power plate, and then we'll go on the ground and look at a shifting pattern. And in this example, the logic or the rationale is that we're looking for more of an eccentric sort of deceleration component for the chest, the shoulders, and the arms. We've worked them in a more traditional push-up, but then by creating a shift, and utilising ViPR, we're looking at a real nice complex where those same muscle groups are being challenged by different environments, different loads, different forces coming in. The other example there would be a more traditional split squat position, again, where we're loading the tissues with vibration, and we're loading under load, and then we'll come onto the ground and look at a tilt to lunge pattern, which is a little bit more dynamic and obviously more locomotive. The second aspect, so complex one, we kind of term sort of more strength orientated. Complex two is power. But it's the same principle. So what we would do, we'd look at a position on here, or a movement, or even a sort of a muscle group area, where we would focus that on the vibration, and then we would go onto the ground and we would look at a power-based, maybe an explosive movement pattern that is very, very similar. So the example, or the examples that I'll show, would be a push-up in a fixed position where we're really trying to create as much tension through the body as we can, and then it's straight up, and then we use the wall as an explosive medicine ball throw. So that's what we mean by a complex, is it's a similar sort of movement pattern or muscle groups being worked, activated, stimulated by vibration, and then we replicate that movement pattern or something similar on the ground. The final one, again, bringing in my favourite, or one of my favourite exercises, the ice skater, and I'll talk a little bit about this now in terms of what we're going to do. Is we look at the specific transformational zone or position that you need to get into within the ice skater. How do we create different forces and loads in that position, and then we go on the ground. So, but the idea in both these complexes is that it's different to pre-activation. We're not just prepping the nervous system, we're actually taking the body into a state of fatigue. So it's going to be a very challenging, it's a superset type principle, but we're taking the movement pattern that's similar and complexing or contrasting the environment. So this is I guess it's a demanding way of training. It's also very different, but to simplify it is essentially a superset, but by changing the demands on the body, you have a really, really cool thing that you can do. And in terms of the application, it's endless. What I would want to try and do here is just to give you some samples of the application, but hopefully that was an explanation of the why and the principles, and obviously why you're utilizing vibration. And again, like I said, I will post the settings because the settings may vary, and of course try and give you some additional bits of information as we go through the practical. So that was an overview of what we mean by performance integration, and obviously the 4 different aspects or examples that we're going to look at shortly. So, welcome back. Practical application, we're going to go through the 4 different components. We're starting with pre-activation, so very short burst, 10 seconds, using 40 hertz on a high amplitude if you can, and just replicating the position that you're in before you go to the ground for that particular movement. The examples are going to be a deadlift, and we're going to do an ice skater. So essentially we're in a fixed position, we're using the strap, driving through the feet. You can coach the position however you want to, but essentially 10-second burst. Then we can relax. We repeat that same 10 seconds, relax. Just for again, a couple of seconds of transition, final 10 seconds, and then we're straight within 30 seconds to a minute really into that fixed position, and now we're into the actual movement ourselves or onto the ground. So again, that's into in this example, the traditional deadlift. So that is pre-activation for a traditional movement pattern, and you'll notice that using the straps, that allows us to generate more force in essentially that position where we have to overcome the biggest component of momentum in that particular lift. Then we have an ice skater. So in relation to the ice skater on the ground, so I'm going to just take a specific position, mainly what we would call the transformational zone of that point where the body is going one way, it has to decelerate before it explodes to go the other way. So we're going to pre-position in that 1.5 leg stance down here, fix that position. It's going to drive a little bit of extra movement, a little bit of extra motion into, in this case, this right hip in that transformational zone. 10 seconds. Obviously, because we're going single leg or unilateral, I'm going to hit the opposite side. Drive a little bit of motion through, so we really feel that triplane load through the glute. So flexion, adduction, internal rotation, 10 seconds. I would then probably repeat that twice, maybe even 3 times. Bear in mind that we are in a unilateral position. And then straight into our explosive ice skater movement. Obviously, then we could make that bigger and more explosive, because in this context, it is a more power-based exercise. So that is 2 simple examples of pre-activation. Okay, general strength. Seems I had the 12 kg in the background, I thought I'd better use it just at least once. It will be just for an example. So again, we're talking about general strength. So maximizing muscle fiber recruitment, creating that additional reflexive response in the body, and combining mass with the vibration, therefore enhancing bottom-up aspects in terms of forces and also top-down. So that kind of combination, very powerful, very challenging for the body. So we literally would be in this example, front carry, so front squat, could be whichever you want to do. And of course, then we're basically into our position. If, of course, you would and may want to tweak foot position depending on your own strategies, that's exactly what you can replicate. The key here really being is that you're replicating exactly the movement pattern that you may typically do on the ground. You're enhancing that movement pattern by performing on the vibration. I'll quickly show you one of my real favourites. Again, I will turn the vibration on this time. Again, I'll pop the settings on the screen. So this is going to be our fixed or low position, so sort of a mid to end range position, anterior lunge with a steering wheel turn. So we're going to fix and load the body into that deep athletic stance, and it's an anterior step and return. So we're trying to maintain that very deep knee bend, deep athletic position. And the idea being is lots of tension in the lower body, therefore huge increases in muscle fiber activation through the lower body. And of course, then we can change the driving lunge. Very, very simple on this one to change the angulation as well. So if we wanted to go more frontal plane, the key is that we're in this deep fixed position or deep athletic ready position, which really creates more tension. And then we're adding that variable movement top down and also bottom up. So 2 applications there for general strength and movement strength. Okay, so complex training with a strength focus. The first one is going to be a push-up, but we are going to vary the hand position. So that's why we call it a push-up matrix. It's something that we use a lot within the Gray Institute, where we change the hand position. Therefore, as you change the hand position, particularly when you're adding forces and vibration, you get greater variability into the connective tissue. So therefore, again, it's an enhancement component, particularly when you're utilizing vibration. So we're simply going to go from this position, this position, this position in the sagittal plane, wider and narrower in the frontal plane, a little bit internally rotated, externally rotated in the transverse plane. And then we're going to follow that with a shifting pattern. So I'll quickly show you the push-up. Hopefully you can see the camera. Obviously, you would work through a sequence depending on the duration, because we are in strength, so you might be doing repetitions or 45 or 60 seconds. You just repeat that sequence. So, our complex is now, we're changing the environment, so we're on vibration, now we're on the ground. But this is where I think ViPR is really cool, and where we start to think a little bit about not just the concentric muscle action, but obviously we've just worked in the push-up, chest, the triceps, so the shoulders area. So we can say, well, how do we create not just a different environment for that, but also maybe we tweak and utilize ViPR to create more of a deceleration component for that sort of more anterior chain tissue. So we're in this 1.5 leg position, and the shift is going to be shoulder height, but slightly posterior. So posterior on the 45 to whatever range of motion, self-selected. And what I'm feeling here is that real deceleration component in the chest, particularly obviously the right side, the biceps, the shoulder, all of those structures that we've also created an element of pre-fatigue, pre-exhaust, by going into a more traditional movement like the push-up. So that's an example of complex, strength focus, push-up into a shift with a sort of or a posterior shift, 1 or 1.5 leg balance. Okay, so strength, complex training. Another example, we're going to go with a split squat with a shift, and then we're going to be on the ground with a more locomotive pattern, so a tilt pattern with a lunge. So very, very quick. Split squat position, so taking advantage of the fact this foot is fixed on a vibration, so therefore maximising the transfer into this, in this example, sort of the right quad, the right glutes, and then we're adding that variable load. So because obviously we, as you guys are all the same, you know, we believe in that variable motion, so we've pre-positioned, centre of gravity shifted to the front leg, and we're just going to add more of a sagittal plane dominant tilt. Shift, sorry, we'll hit the frontal plane, and we'll add a little bit of a transverse plane component, and obviously we'll keep repeating that sequence through until the desired duration, bearing in mind that we are in a strength complex. Then after that, we're straight onto the ground, try and keep it in the, hopefully in the shot, so then we have, again, a more dynamic, but the movement pattern is the same. Remember, we're talking about sort of a split squat, lunge position, now into an actual dynamic locomotive pattern. So we have that tilt to squat, tilt to lunge. Obviously, again, you can make that alternating, make it bigger, depending on the space that you have. So for me, it's not a lot. But again, here's the principle, guys. You are taking a movement pattern or a position or a group of muscles, however you want to describe it. We work with, in this case, mass and vibration. So we create that superset environment, and we're on the ground here with a more locomotive pattern. So complex example 2, which is strength, integrating those two different movement patterns. Okay, so we are into complex training or complex contrast power. So the example here is going to be a push-up, variable push-up in a fixed position or in an end-raised position with a slight variation in the handprint, so up to 30 seconds. Then we're straight into an explosive medicine ball push against the wall. So I'm going to fire through this pretty quick just so that you get the concept, and hopefully you can kind of see. I apologise, I will turn away from you just to show you the medicine ball example. Stop, doesn't it? It's not. Of course, that will carry on for the 30 seconds. So very dynamic, very explosive. Push up using vibration, activation, creating that pre-exhaust component, and then we're into very explosive medicine ball movement on the ground against the wall. So we now have another example of complex contrast power. Back to one of my favorite ViPR exercises we're going to do is the ice skater. But first, because we're looking for this contrasting environment, we're going to utilize the strap in a more fixed position, really create lots of tension around the glutes, the hips, and then we're going to go into that explosive power-based movement on the ground. So we're going to fix the position. So we're taking a grip just outside of this leading leg, 1.5 stance. So we're creating that triplane load through the hip. Then we're going to drive up, maybe add a little bit of a knee drive into that position. So we're creating lots of tension, lots of demand for this right posterior lateral hip. We perform that up to 30 seconds. Then we hit the ground. And again, we are straight into that really explosive, dynamic, power-based ice skater on the ground. And just an example, because I only did one leg, obviously on here you would do both legs, you can definitely feel the difference in size just from the fact that you've already created that really pre-fatigued, very demanding challenge for that posterior hip, and now we're really asking it to decelerate and accelerate under load. A really, really good example. Okay guys, so hopefully in summary that was some practical applications, hopefully a little bit of why behind the what of the use of vibration, power plate, and obviously ViPR, and even traditional types of exercises into that performance integration. So contrasting environments, looking at how we take advantage of the neuromuscular stimulus, the activation with vibration, and how we combine that with additional mass of ViPR, really to create this dynamic variable loads for the body. So hopefully that makes sense. By all means, fire some questions, try it, utilize it. And obviously the idea is that we've gone through 4 different components. We're not suggesting that you would use all 4 of those in one session, but hopefully you can see where pre-activation, where that might become relevant if you're going to go and do some traditional lifting, for example. If you want sort of a metabolic demand for some metabolic qualities, that superset, a complex environment, whether that be strength orientated or power orientated, really, really powerful, very challenging. And also that approach to just adding mass and the stimulus of vibration, top down, bottom up, so that additional mass through traditional loading, or of course through load of movement training with ViPR. So again, thanks to the guys at FitPro for the opportunity. Hopefully you find that useful, and I'm sure I'll see you all soon.
So team, there we have it. That was Steve Powell. I have to say, since watching that the first time myself last week, I've actually incorporated the complex integration for strength into my programming, and I have to say a couple of sessions into that programming and I am feeling real strong from it. So guys, please go away, use the tables. I'll also be posting this all on our Facebook community page, so you can take it off of there and use it yourselves. It is a fantastic tool to integrate with ViPR. Get your hands on it, get in touch with your clients with it. It really will help you and help your clients, and also help other trainers kind of connect the dots and further better their function. So again, a huge thank you to Steve and to PowerPlate for sharing that presentation. As you can see, ViPR and PowerPlate work really well together. So guys, our next point, we have, I've had a brilliant question from Vipin Marwa. Hopefully I've said that right, Vipin. If not, please let me know, from ViPR India. And he's asked me a couple of really great questions, and I'm really appreciative that he felt like he could get in touch with me and ask these questions. There's two questions. First is, how does loaded movement training actually improve myofascial health? What is the pathway there, and what is the response? And also, is there any calorific data from loaded movement training and working with the ViPR? To the first question, I will be sharing a small presentation myself on the Facebook Master Trainer community page with an answer to this question. I wanted to definitely answer this in a live format, but for the sake of your guys' time today, I'm going to be posting that on our Facebook community page in the next couple of days, and that's going to answer really what is myofascia, how does it relate with the entire structure of the body, how does it respond, what is it, how is it stimulated, and then we can then start to pick up on how the anchors and the scientific anchoring of ViPR relates to the scientific anchoring of fascia and myofascial health. So guys, please check that out on the Master Trainer community page in the next few days. As far as the calorific data from loaded movement training, now this is a tough one because obviously we understand that there are different facets to ViPR training. There is vitality training, there is performance training, and there is reconditioning training. There are also 3 thresholds, and we know how to manipulate those thresholds in a numerous varied amount of ways. So obviously it's quite hard to pin down one calorific set of data for one movement, because we know that everybody responds differently to different movements, and it completely depends on all the other programming fundamentals that we do with ViPR, as well as threshold principles as well. Having said that, I am interested, as I am sure you are interested, in being able to let your clients know, and also let those that come on your education know, that there is calorific value, either through an acceleration in the amount of calories being burnt, or a deceleration in the amount of calories being burnt through using ViPR and loaded movement training. So with that in mind, we have a challenge for you guys. What I would like you to do is take an opportunity to share your data with the rest of the Facebook Master Trainer community, and let us know what you did and how it felt as far as the data and the stats that you have available. So what that means is, if you have a heart rate monitor, then please take a little screenshot at the end of a session where you've been using ViPR and pop it on the Facebook page for us. That would be really cool to see the types of efforts, intensities, and calorific expenditures that come with certain movements. So please do that. Also, you have the ability to challenge yourselves. I'm sure all of you have been enjoying the Reacto and Reacto 2 challenges yourselves as master trainers, because we know we have to practice what we preach. But that in mind, again, if you can give a go of either Reacto or Reacto 2 with your heart rate monitors on, with your activity trackers on, and then share that data with us, I think that would be really valuable to start to build a picture of how much effort is required to work with loaded movement training effectively. And I think for a lot of people, as far as a sales type tool, a kind of to try and get people to try using loaded movement training and ViPR, I think this could be a really important and really valuable tool to do that. So guys, the challenge is in your hands. If you want to know, then you've got to give it a go yourself. So please share those with us on the trainer page. Again, I will be sharing my stats with you on that page. So guys, just to conclude, with the social media extra kind of emphasis through the summer, particularly with the 10-year anniversary in mind, we would like you to share your stories with us, whether it be from a perspective of, I've been a part of ViPR for X amount of years and it has changed me, or it's changed my clients, or it's changed the way I deliver, or something more personal. You know, it's, I use ViPR every day and it has done this for me. We would really like to hear your stories from you, and also maybe from clients or those that have been a part of your workshops, your live face-to-face education. So please share that with Kirsten at kirsten.c@fitpro.com. We would really appreciate the content coming from you. You are the experts, you are our ambassadors, and we would love to hear from you, but also share your success to the rest of the globe. So guys, for our next webinar, what we would like to know is, who would you like to hear from? We're going to be adding and incorporating an element of education to every webinar from the future so that we can give you guys something tangible to take away and apply, not just within the realm of ViPR, but also other modalities and tools. So who would you like to hear from? Also, what would you like to hear about? If you're not sure perhaps who you want to hear from, but you're really interested in a particular facet of performance, of vitality, of reconditioning, of strength, of health, then please get in touch with me, reach out to me, and share and ask those questions, because we can make those things happen. And it'll be really cool to share something with you that you are invested and interested in. So guys, please continue to reach out to me. It's been great over the last few months to get to know some of you a little bit more, to get to know some of you for the first time. So please continue to share and ask questions of me. I really appreciate Vipin getting in touch, and I look forward to sharing my little presentation with you over the next few days. So guys, really, that is it today from us at ViPR HQ. As always, keep in touch, keep sharing, keep living the loaded movement training dream, and we look forward to seeing you again shortly. Thank you.